Please comment and subscribe.
Okay. Well, that's great. I'm happy.
You know, my mother also said, if you're going to steal something, make sure it's big.
Yes, but it's just been, he always makes me feel like I can do whatever it is that he wants me to do.
No. My first job was with Robert in Come Back to the Five and Dime Jimmy Dean.
Never, ever, ever change that part of me, because you can't change who you really are. Underneath all this fluff and crap is me, very, well, I was about to say really solid, but not really solid, but is me, and it's just me.
That was it was hard, because there are things that I put in it that I hesitated about, but then I thought, you know, if you're going to do something, if people think they know you, and you know they don't.
I've had a couple of boyfriends that really, it was not a problem because they were so kind of secure in themselves.
When I designed our clothes, we had a different look completely, but then the first time I worked with Bob, I just thought, he's like the Pied Piper. I was just there, you know. I was like, okay, I'll follow you anywhere.
With Karen, he's one way. With Sandy, he's one way. With me, he's another way. And he figures out how to be with you, and then he goes to you in that way.
But I think, like, it must be great to be, I don't know, Mrs. Mel Gibson, Mrs. George Clooney, Mrs. somebody, but nobody wants to be Mr. Cher.
But he works with every woman differently.
No, I'm such an easy person to have a relationship with, except for my work.
He has many names. The dreaded almond. I mean, we call him a whole bunch of different things.
No, because he was very charming and he was very likable. I just didn't know him, and then I became famous, and it's impossible to get to know someone then.
Talking about.
It's not the same. It's not the same. It's like when Sonny was trying to teach me "I Got You, Babe" in the middle of the night.
Of everything. I'm not an actress. Actors don't consider me an actress. Singers don't consider me a singer. Gay men consider me their best friend.
For a home in Ireland, is that true?
Well, you know, I'm going to look here for some place. I'd like to have some place for the summer. I'd like to have a place to come in the summer.
I mean, I've always kind of been like this. I am not the kind of woman that makes Mr. Wrong, Mr. Right for right now. I mean, if I go to dinner with someone, I'm basically going to live with them for 2 years.
Woke me up and said, Cher, come here, because we only had furniture for one room. Cher, come here. I've got the song. And so he said, okay, I want you to sing so-and-so and so-and-so. And I went, no, I don't. He said, Cher, it's me. God damn it, just do it.
Yeah.
We had to work through 2 administrations, and when Imran came in, everything got much easier.
Yeah, I really did hurt myself. But I'm not sorry I did it. Shoot me, I did an infomercial.
As we all know, that drugs played a big part in that. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't have any kind of moral question about drugs. I just have the feeling that people can't cope with them correctly. If people could cope with drugs, you know, it would be a different story, but I don't know very many people that really can handle them. Usually drugs have a way of handling you.
You know, it's a wonderful movie, and MGM hated it. They didn't want to put it out. They said, there's no audience for this movie.
You know, if it doesn't matter in 5 years, it doesn't matter. Which is something my mother told me. Don't sweat the small stuff. You know, it's like the infomercial. 5 years later, it wasn't such a big deal.
Then you got to put in those unattractive parts, or those parts that hit too close to home, or something that no one ever figured, or no one knew what was going on behind the scenes, or, you know, and there's good things too, but
a long, long time to dig my way out of that.
It wasn't something that I didn't know. It was just something that I knew and I was hoping wasn't real, you know. It was just, I was stupid. I was young, and I loved him a lot, and I just thought, oh, I can change him. And
they don't know you from the beginning, so it's impossible. You can't get that relative feeling.
Well, I mean, it was more the other parts of me that were showing that people were more interested in. It was hard for me, and it's hard sometimes to sit. There's like a couple of parts where I just sob every time, and I know it's coming.
No, because I'll be a great old, hysterical, cool old woman.
You mean when it's warm over there, you want to come here for a bit of cool?
Absolutely. I'm sick of the sun. I was raised in California, and I
I just would like to do it. I'd like to try it for a while. It's nice. I've been living in London, and I've had that, and now I'd like to try Ireland for a while.
Yeah. But, you know, it's not anything that I haven't ever said.
I mean, and it was like his way of saying, you know, just back off. But we have, I mean, I could never imagine working with anybody better. And I'm not saying that, because if I didn't like him, I would certainly say that I didn't like him.
In your case, it'd be the other way around. You know,
No.
lots of poor guys want to marry you.
No, my mother said, Cher, when you get older, I wish you'd hurry to get older so that you would settle down and marry a rich man. And I said, Mom, I am a rich man. You know, it's like I don't have to marry one.
So what will you, if you intend to marry again, what will you marry for?
Oh, I mean, of course I'll marry for love, but I don't even know very much about getting married anymore.
Or if you went down too low or whatever. But because I was married, because Sonny and I were married, I got away with a lot. And also, you know, Bob was making the costumes and they were beautiful. So they were, you know, of course some went too far, but all the people that worked for him said, you know, she's your Barbie doll, and I was.
Well, I didn't plan to at all. The kids on my Twitter feed started sending this thing, and it was Freak of On, and I thought, well, okay, if I don't answer, they'll just stop.
And then I did it, and I said, I don't think it's a good song. I'm going to bed.
And they told Robert that this is his first time on Broadway, and do not hire her.
Well, no, I don't, you know. If I want to put my tits on my back, it's nobody's business but my own, you know? And if people don't like me because of that, well, then that's, I mean, this is America. Oh, yeah. I mean, absolutely. I mean, I was 16, he was 28. I was, you know, out on the street kind of by myself, and he'd been married, you know, he was a grown-up. In the beginning, it was absolutely the best of times. It didn't get to be the worst of times until really right before I left him, because I was growing up, but he wasn't so interested in that, you know. He didn't like grown-up women.
And we were all proud of it, and we thought, we don't care if anybody sees it. We believe that we've done something good. And then one of the films that they had out fell apart, and so Moonstruck was the only thing they had, so they put it out, and all of a sudden, there was this groundswell.
And, you know, someday you're going to like it, but until now, just do it. And he said, because you're really good in it. And he said, and unfortunately, you can't, you know, if you're not having a good time, you're going to have to find a way to make yourself have a good time. No, we actually didn't. We didn't separate for 3 years, but I filed after 9 days, or he filed after 9 days.
Because, I mean, in America, women were always used to doing that. And that was like, everything came from up there. So if you showed the slightest sliver of something on the side, people lost their minds.
And then there was a 5-hour drive to the sanctuary. And so I could see him, you know, and in Islamabad, he just did this. That's all he did. That's what elephants do when they're traumatized. They move their head and they move their body.
I think I'm terrible in this one part. And he says, well, you know what? You're just going to have to get over it because you're really good.
And once he got into it, he didn't do it. And he looked around, and he was walking around, and he was looking at everything and giving himself a dirt bath and talking to the girls.
I'm just not sure.
But they didn't. And it was in Pakistan, and I thought, I'm just an entertainer. How am I going to go to Pakistan and free an elephant?
But it's not the same thing.
It's just me like I was 6 years old. I haven't changed in all that time, in 100 years.
I started first from my...
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Then he landed, and we were all on the tarmac, and we were excited.
Yeah, no, if he had one, I mean, if I could find a man with one little fault, I'll give you $1 million.
It just, as we started doing it, I wasn't going to give up. So we went to Pakistan.
Sweetie, are you ready?
And we saw him. He was beautiful. That you wish will come true. And we started meeting the Pakistani people, and the people were so nice to me.